And what about those rivals? I mean, obviously, in a way, the big three, I guess, from the point of view of proven ability over the years, is obviously Ruby Walsh, Barry Geraghty, and Paul Carberry as perhaps the supreme stylist. We all know that Fallon whistles upside rivals and puts the sort of living daylights up another jockey. How do you know when Walsh comes there, absolutely cruising, not moving? Are there telltale signs for you that you know how well he's going and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, but Ruby is exceptionally clever with the way he rides. The viewers mightn't understand that for a jockey to be moving on a horse is an absolute, the last thing that we want to do is to actually start.
Davy, it's fascinating, but someone's going to be shouting at the screen, well, hold on, McCoy moves from the very start.
And that's a style, you know, but really AP is different. He is different to everybody. His style is different. Like, if you see Ruby moving, whether it's even going to a fence or even if his hands are moving, there is an issue there. You know, he is coming under pressure because he has such a grip with his legs. And it's the same with Paul. Maybe he rides a bit shorter and he hasn't got the same grip. But Barry rides with loads of leg, and they have a horse so squares up, you know, that they're getting the maximum. That horse is going the quickest before they ever start moving on him, if you can understand it.
That's fascinating though, David, because we see the hand movements. We can gauge, we think at least, even those of us who've not ridden professionally, we can gauge how well a jockey's moving by his hands. But how much he's squeezing with his legs, we have no idea. We don't even know if he's squeezing at all.
Yeah, that's it. And even, I suppose, with AP, when he is moving, maybe he hasn't got the full squeeze on him, you know, and that's maybe comes later in a race. But you're going down to an obstacle, and a show jumping rider probably would be better to explain it, but you must have contact with a horse. Like, it's just not he's jumping and you're sitting on his back. You're constantly sending signals to a horse to do different things, whether it's through your legs or it's through your hands or it's through your thinking, you know. So, like, from an early point in a race, you want a horse to get into a rhythm. So you need to be squeezing him into that rhythm the whole time, from when you jump the first fence till you're racing down to the last. That rhythm has to be constant, and it has to be a forward rhythm. So, like, you must have a horse feeling your presence at all times, so that the signals can be either come back or go forward, and that is either through your legs coming up in through your hands to let him roll on a little bit down to an obstacle, or maybe just to grab him to maybe let them shorten a little bit to an obstacle. And as regards Ruby, he's probably the king at that. He has so much strength in his legs that he doesn't have to move. You know, moving is probably an inconvenience to a lot of horses when you have them that so tightly squares up.
And what's the experience like when you've been pushing, say, for 3 furlongs, a couple of flights, got the whip out, you've been rowing away, and Carberry suddenly from nowhere looms up with his bum stuck up in the air. He's not moving a muscle. What does that feel like? And I can't imagine, knowing Carberry a little bit, that he doesn't say something or pass the odd word. What's said? Come on, what kind of things are muttered at that stage?
It's mostly to the tune of, yeah, keep going, you're all right, keep going. He said, you'll eventually get there. And he just doesn't move. But you don't understand how tightly squeezed he is, that horse. Like, he is not going to leave that horse shorten his stride. So as much as he's sitting up, he has that horse so much squeezed up underneath him that horse knows that he wants him to go forward, you know. And he's just brilliant at it. He's an exceptional, like the ride he gave that horse in Monbeg.
Monbeg Dude.
I promise you, like, a lot of lads wouldn't even be able to lead him up. He's such a bad jumper, and at any stage of the race, he never left the contact go with that horse. That horse always knew that he was on board and he was the boss. And
one of the best rides you've ever seen?
Of all time, especially, and it's good to have seen it in a big race. You know, his talent, like, he's an exceptional rider. Even to see him out on a day like today, jumping horses at home, he's brilliant to watch from a horse
He
person.
usually does it about midnight, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, with no clothes on.
With no clothes on, exactly. Glad you said that. And it is an extraordinary talent. But equally, I guess as the rival jockey, you're sort of thinking, OK, Sonny Jim, you've come cruising, but if I can just get you off the bridle, I know you probably haven't got quite as much underneath you as you were saying. So there must be a little bit for you of, I can't wait to try and...
Yeah, but I suppose a lot of it is down to the horse you're riding, really. You know, if I have a horse that has loads of stamina, like, OK, I can try and get the likes of a speed horse off the bridle and let him come fall apart a little bit underneath you. You know, when a horse does come off the bridle, it usually takes maybe 4, 5, 10, 20 strides from to pick up and go again. So when I have a staying horse that I can get going and get running and at full flight before anybody can get to me and be gone, that's basically what you're trying to do. If a horse comes up alongside you cruising, it usually means that he's got more ability than your horse, or that you're after going too slow, or you're after going too quick. And that's usually what happens.
And with Barry Geraghty, he for me is a bit of a mixture of all of you in that he hasn't got some sort of style that I always look for him for, but he can put it all together and almost do anything.
Yeah, he's...
Twinkle eyes, do you call him Twinkle eyes? He's got those twinkle eyes.
Yeah, he has, yeah. He's just... Barry is probably... He's probably got the best record of 2 mile chasers, of riding 2 mile chasers, I'd imagine, of the modern era anyway. Yeah.
Well, I suppose if you spit Moscow Flyer and Sprinter Sacre together, you're not going to be doing badly. But
yeah, but he's a Big Zeb, all them horses, which would maybe describe Barry. He's very positive in his riding. He's extremely positive, always going forward, and always using horses jumping. He's probably one of the jockeys that makes use of horses jumping more so than a lot of other jockeys, you know, and maybe that's where he excels more so than anything else, is the way he can get a horse to use himself from takeoff to landing side of a fence, you know. And you taking on Barry down over fences, you know, you'd want to be fairly matching him, you know.
And as far as just the future, I mean, I'm pretty confident, as confident as anyone, that Brian Cooper could well be a champion jockey in the making when the likes of you, Carbs and Walshy are sat at home with your pipes and slippers on. But is there, in a word or 2 words, a jockey out there that you at the moment are thinking, crikey, in 10 years' time he's going to be a bit special?
Yeah, Paul Townend probably is ahead of all them, and you must remember he's very young.
Champion jockey.
Yeah, so he to me is the next level. So any of the young lads...
He's got slightly the problem that Richard Johnson has got, isn't it? In that if McCoy wasn't here, Richard Johnson would be champion, and if Walsh wasn't around, Townend would be riding Willie Mullins first strings every day of the week.
For sure, yeah, and that's it. But he just needs to maybe sit in that position for another couple of years, and then be in Ruby Walsh's position. Or
but the sort of conditionals, is there anyone out there who's really exciting you at the moment?
Yeah, well, Mark Enright is doing things pretty right. He seems to be a good positive jockey, and I suppose Danny Mullins is taking a bit of time to come from the flat to the national hunt, but he's had a wonderful past couple of months, and it looks like he's going to be riding a better type of horse. And basically, at the end of the day, that's what it takes to ride the better type of horse. And a good horse will make good jockeys, you know, and that's what, whichever young chap is good enough to get on them good horses, that'll bring them forward. But to be honest, they're not going to reach the level that Ruby and Barry and myself and Paul have set, because we're going to be retired and we're going to be able to say that.
Great stuff.